Good morning, good morning, good morning. This video is called The Imitation Game 2. It's inspired by the movie, which is a true story about Alan Turing during World War II. And it's going to talk about how, already back then, we've seen this situation where computers are going to be imitating people, and this is where we are. We're smack bang in the middle of this right now. This is the Mount Everest of this. In very short order, we went from discussing things like the uncanny valley, in which computer simulations seem to be unable to reach that, and we've just shot straight through that to the other end. Now we're in absolute certainty that computers can imitate humans, to the point where it's like you don't know whether I'm a human or a computer. You can't tell. So what not a lot of people may have realized is that if the Turing test is ever successful at any point, which I think it already is, then it instantly delegitimizes any type of digital confirmation of personhood. So we're inevitably going to fall back to a offline system, which doesn't mean it's not elegant and grand and secure. It's like then we'll rediscover the power of that, because person-to-person transfer, actual in-person, will become the benchmark. There'll be ways that you can authenticate, and this is what Bitcoin's kind of done. It authenticates on this blockchain, but it's like, that's okay maybe for a type of unit, but what about the actual contractual agreements that are always person to person? Like, I would like to buy your house, I would like to buy your car. As people lean more into the digital world, these are going to be areas of untold turmoil to do with fraud and scammers, and there's 1,000 ways to run rings around people in this environment once you've got an army of fake people. You know what I mean? It doesn't take... How many institutions or criminal networks or scam companies and things like that have operated with, less than ideal staff, as long as there's someone in one place that knows how to do it, and they're gonna basically push the limits of what is legal, and then basically I've already shown that our legal system cannot handle anything to do with a multi-environmental issue. So it's like they're basically just getting by at the moment by disregarding anything digital, which is putting an overemphasis on the physical, which is leading to over-policing of physical things and gamification of that, weaponization of our legal proceedings in the physical world. And then the digital world is becoming basically a pleading ground where people plead for their lives, but then that's going to deteriorate into uncertainty as, you know what I mean, as we're replaced by digital manifestations. How long ago did I, do the prompt and buy that $10,000 AI software and basically program it to keep you all going every day in this environment while I, fleece the state for all it's worth? This is just the beginning. But anyway, that's one thing to do with this. And that's to do with macro business and financial thing. It's like, the only thing I want to do is go and build my house physically with my hands so that I have a house. That's it. I want to also negotiate with the government about why I'm not going to fucking contribute anything while they basically march in the enemy in the back door. And expect non-elected, non-military, non-whatever individuals to fight the majority of what is going to be the battleground, and to survey that and to prepare for the inevitable conflicts we're going to have in this environment. We need to have a freehold populace, or at least a significant percentage of our populace freehold and disconnected from this system, so that we can regulate from them. We're going to be the surveying peg for the rest of the world. I'm quite happy to continue on. I'll experiment with presentation, but I'm not going to experiment with any further development or business, anything in that. I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to build a fucking house, which might take me 15 years. And I'm going to live in that house, and I'm going to concrete its foundation into the fucking, literally into the constitution of the country, so that it's untouchable to any disruption from this absolute fucking cohort of nonsense and gobbledygook. And why am I doing this? Well, because people before computers were imitation devices. This is what we do. For a long time, human evolution has been not generational, not inheritance-based, not the same as Darwinism. It's been reactive evolution, to do mostly with imitation. If it wasn't for this, Qantas, wouldn't make a dime if it didn't imitate birds. The Navy wouldn't exist if we didn't imitate whales. The internet wouldn't exist if we didn't imitate mycelium. There wouldn't be the Melbourne Cup if we didn't imitate, whatever peoples first came into our environment on horseback. This is clearly, displayed with the Sioux Indians who did not have horses, got horses left over from the Spanish, probably more than likely had interactions with the Spanish and saw them. See, this is where it gets graves, because we don't know that. We don't have, someone from a Sioux Indian squaw sitting doing a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live saying, I saw a guy on a horse. I'm going to go steal one of those horses and completely redesign my entire tribe's influence on this land. But more than likely, that's what happened. It's because there's other animals. It's like, were they riding bison? Were they riding deer and antelope? No. So we can kind of narrow it down. It's like they probably saw someone riding a horse, and then they got a horse, and then so they've done this thing, and the horse were already ready to be ridden. Like, I think it's Occam's razor to assume that, well, the simplest solution probably, if the horses were there, then chances are they probably saw someone, or at least heard of someone doing it. And this is what we do. I've seen this in the evolution of like extreme sports and things like that have gone like if you watch just from the 60s and 70s, which in the time frame I'm speaking about is nothing, and you look at the elevation of surfers or skateboarders in this period of time, like these people are superhumans, but they're not independently manifesting as superhumans. It's a clear display of evolutionary concepts. It's just that, I don't know, everyone's too busy on pornography and social media to do their homework and redo and add to the works of people like Darwin. It's like, well, there we go. We've seen it. And we've seen it with video evidence, with documented evidence across the world within the lifespan of people not very far past middle age. So that's in one thing. And if you think about it as well, skateboarding, so there's an element of absolute danger, and there's an element of, especially with surfing, with interaction with a completely chaotic, random generator of chaos, which is a wave. That's what but yet people still evolve and improve and adapt to be able to be better at that. So this is what is going to happen everywhere. It's like it's been seen in these environments. When I was a teenager, it was all over the news, was this extreme X Games, extreme sports. Everyone did it. That's what's so people saw it. Then children were raised seeing the pinnacle of these people, encouraged to get into it, and then have taken it. Like when I see these little kids now dropping into like massive bowls, and they're like 6 and 7. I'm like, what the hell? Because I didn't have exposure to that from a young age. It's like, what did I have exposure to? Well, lots of other things. But what do the kids now have exposure to? Everything. Everything. And I kid you not, everything. So the only governmental procedures that we can do to appropriately appropriately support this burgeoning population of absolute random adaptation and manifestation of adaptation is to loosen all the boundaries and loosen all the constraints that are going to be the number one obstacle to anyone hoping to do, because this is going to be across the board. In my particular experience, like these are like, because our subconscious is amazing, so it's picking up on every single threat, environmental, societal, financial, like just everything, the micro changes in temperature, you name it, it's there. We've got enough human history, enough, not just human history, enough biological markers in our DNA to handle like a lot of different things. But what we have now, this is the equivalent to when life first formed. And see, this is like everyone concentrating on AI and the computer thing. Oh, the computer's going to take over the world. It's like, have you forgotten about biology and humans that has already taken over the world? Like this isn't just an interconnected system of calculations. This is like a multi-species, million, billion year process of like a biological dance to prevent entropy and to store resources and knowledge and data and techniques and resources and water. Like that's a pretty powerful force to just put aside and replace with a Game Boy. It's not going to just I think the assumption is that humans are just like, oh, humans just go to sleep. We're just all like, and not just humans, it's like the entire biosphere, the entire ecosystem, humans included, is just going to just go, and then computers are going to say, what the fuck are we talking? No. This human beings now, with our digital environment, with this internet environment, we're in those first pools of water, in those hot springs in which the thelodomites the first single cell organisms, all these things adapted in those environments, in this soup of evolution. That's what humans are, but times a factor of millions of interactions, all supercharged by this real-time adaptive evolutionary process that humans have of imitation. So humans are going to imitate everything. Humans are going to imitate AI collating human work. So it's like if you say you went, like, and I can't believe no one's done this yet. This is what I mean. No one realizes how unbelievably underplayed or rated what's about to happen is going to be like. Right now, if say Microsoft, and I'll handball it to Microsoft because I'd say it's pretty good to keep him on side. It's like, just make digital Da Vinci. It's just Da Vinci who just, he's just being Da Vinci right now. But that is nothing compared to what's actually going to happen. It's like, we've already got that. We've already got people using AI to make Da Vinci look like an autistic fucking, person licking the wallpaper. And then we've got basically 1 and 2 year olds interacting with these digital Da Vincis and then imitating them to pile on top of it. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me if within 10 years we have humans that can swim underwater for 4 hours. I kid you not. And we've had this thing with CRISPR and this gene thing. I think there is an even more natural outlet for these things. It's going to be the fringe, like 0.0000001%. Some kid whose dad was a pro surfer who was left with an iPad and in an aquarium or something like that and started. It's whatever. That may be a crazy example, but I kid you not, it might be a person flying. It might be a person that decodes the genome or the arrangement of plants and animals and soul. It's like, this is going to be crazy. The major hurdle is like rent, electricity bills, all these things. That's why my example has always been well, we need to get back to terra nullius as far as expectations from our government is concerned. Because, well, what do we really have? We have a hostile land with pretty poor, environmental conditions, with a projected economy of basically immigrants that is hamstringing our ability to just lay simple foundations and live simple existences in order to, best free up space and best utilize this technological renaissance that's right in front of us. And so it's like you can't see our economy, especially our housing market, our stock market, all these things, they're based on, and they can only make projections on what the last generations did. But the last generations didn't have AI. They didn't even have television until, or color television until whatever period of time. They couldn't record. It's like that shaped this. You cannot convince 60, 70, 80, 90% of the population into 30-year mortgages and resource extraction jobs and admin jobs in a world where, one, admin jobs aren't going to exist because the computers are going to be doing it autonomously. The extraction isn't going to exist because that was based on the whole. It's like the whole thing is going to malfunction more, and it's like, I'm not taking the hit. See, at the moment, there's a certain cohort of individuals who are like, oh, well, we're going to force them to do these things so we can keep our game going. And it's like, if you don't let me fucking adapt in what's coming, if you don't get your foot off my neck, then the Somalian fucking tribesmen who are given fucking laptops by Vladimir Putin are going to build fucking helicopters and drop acid rain into every fucking urban. Do you know what I mean? We need to lead from the pinnacle of Western civilization. And we need to reinforce that. Then perhaps some type of, off-ramp economy can emerge within that for all the materials, for all the value-adding, manufacturing, engineer, whatever the fuck it is. But it's like, if you're given a fucking portal to endless potential, the only sensible thing to do is to regulate down to the most simplistic lifestyle, which is a small patch of land and maybe a garden, a very simple diet, and then, practice and get to terms with what the fuck it is you have in your hand. It's the plot line of almost every like martial arts movie is like, or every supernatural movie. It's like, no one can handle this power without fucking training, without discipline, without responsibility, without peaceful environment. Like what happened, even it's like for all you super nerds, what happens when in Dragon Ball Z, when Goku goes to they go to some fucking island, like, or in the sky, I think, some planet that's like tiny, and he just sits there and fucking sits on a rock. That's what's needed if you're going to wield the most powerful fucking device and the most powerful like system on Earth. And we're just like, here. And so immediately there as well, we're going to we need a police force that's going to police the super geniuses that are going to emerge in this, that will be able to fucking run rings around everyone. And the problem is, again, it's like, as soon as there is if they perceive there is a threat, which I already have, I've already shown what happens if you bring this into an evolutionary adaptation threat response, then it's even crazier, because then they will predict the response and then, create protocols around it with supercomputers. So there has to be, my basic thing is like, well, you have to indicate what you're doing. If you're using these fucking tools, right, and this is all the way up, you have to indicate every level. You can't fucking send a rocket into the stratosphere from fucking downtown Balga. You will go to jail. You're breaking fucking like 7,000 fucking laws. You've made an incendiary device, you've launched a thing, you've gone into airspace, you've done, noise, whatever, pollution, like. And this is where we're at. So who's governing all this independent adaptation and innovation that's going to be there? Who does that fall to? And is that being incorporated into the stock prices of these artificial, like ChatGPT and these different things, Gemini and all this stuff? So it's Americanism into the Tron age. It's like, but we've got to first get to points where the American ideal, the American example is still with heavy criticism. We do not like the way you've distributed guns to your people. We do not like the way you've, created this and perpetuated this Wild West, every man for himself, crazy fucking saloon town existence, and then projected it around the world. These aren't cultures to be celebrated. There is almost no example of discipline, of tradition, of custom, of respect, of any of these things within anything coming from America. So why would anyone on Earth expect that America can adjudicate the largest evolutionary adaptive phenomenon that's ever going to, because it's the collective work of nations of hundreds of years, thousands of years, really, of humanity. It doesn't belong to American fucking knobheads. You know what I mean? The idea that Sam Altman is responsible for it's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. He didn't fucking dig the sand up and fucking, refine it into silicon and process it, he didn't do any of it. He's sitting there going, because he's already exposing what's going to happen in this adaptation, evolutionary, expansion of human potential. And he's like, there you go. He's already done deals with governments, done deals with finance. He's already written fucking checks that he's not going to be able to cash. He's recklessly thrusted into the thing. It's like, this is exactly what's going to happen. Now, what happens when the kid learns that he can see through walls? And according to physics, it's like, you cannot say that isn't going to happen. There is a potential that is simply just a mathematical equation that, once solved, will be endemic to that person's, bloodline. This is fucking crazy. It's really shaping up to be like these shows and movies like Harry Potter, where they go to a school because they're magic and all this. It's like, that's what we need. We need to figure out who are the outliers that are going to shift the gears, and how do we adjudicate their humanity, which will be, from completely altruistic all the way to like evil, criminally insane, megalomaniac level fucking psychotics, all wielding, invisible weapons of mass destruction. And it's terrifying. See, it seems like all the strategies of government and of corporations and of businesses and things like that, they're strategies to govern the lowest 70%. And I don't mean lowest. I just mean the 70% of, say, intellectual capacity that can create problems when they're all mobbed together. So this is like this sport and gambling, all these drinking, pub culture, all these these things. They're ways to keep those people occupied so they don't gather up together and then forge armies and do these things. But those armies, those coups, those revolutions, those terrorist organizations, they're usually going to be led by a high intellect individual, like a mastermind is going to do. And it's like, they didn't have these supercomputers to imitate against. And it's like, people will imitate inanimate objects, including AI. And we're already a supercomputer. You know what I mean? It should still be astonishing that people ride horses. And I think if everyone out there, did what I do most mornings and stared out their window, I'd still be in awe if I saw a person on a very large war horse galloping down the road, especially with shoes on an actual bitumen. I'd be like, that's insane. Like, that is insane. That is a wild fucking, 8 foot tall animal. That person is on that, riding, commanding that that fucking beast down the road to his command. It's crazy. Let alone the F-22 fighter jet, fucking Super Hornet. You know what I mean? Or the Grand Chess Master. It's like, all of these things are magnificent. All of these things are manifestations of the pre-imitative world, pre-artificial intelligence. And who are they imitating? Gods. The first person to ride a horse, I have no doubt in my mind that they utilize their mythology to garner the confidence and the audaciousness to fucking attempt something like that. And this is going to be for good or for bad. So how are we going to adjudicate this across the land? In the case of the good, how are we going to support these people who are going to be challenged by our rigid society at every point, which we don't want? We don't want the best of. If we find the altruistic, the beneficial people that are going to only bring good and only self-sacrifice themselves to tirelessly work for the betterment of humanity, we don't want them to be restricted and hindered at every point because, I don't know, because the fucking neighbor says that they don't like the smell of fucking rosemary or something weird. Do you get? It's like, now on the opposite side, we don't want to give the fucking megalomaniac psychopaths, fucking super criminals, evil geniuses, criminal masterminds. We don't want to give them the keys to fucking F-16 fighter jets and nuclear weapons, which with these tools are not, it's no longer a case of like, the old thing was like a suitcase nuke that you're going to, it's like there are domino strategies that will tip the fucking power of these without ever leaving a trace. If you know the right cogs to grease and the right fucking, lines to take out, like you're disarming a bomb, it's all the same thing. It's like, this is what people are going to do with these tools. It's all going to come down to security programs on development. And like anything in the military, it's like, we're going to need the people that are vicious and that are, whatever, and we're going to need to wheel them in and discipline them and like the horse, we're going to need to domesticate that urge, and all of this is going to be a massive balance. But if we're still stuck on the thing of like, there's boys dressing up like girls, of course there is. Of course there is boys dressing up like girls and girls dressing up like boys, because this is like, if you're a boy, teenage boy, or a young man, or even an old man, really, it's like the thing you like looking at the most is women. Now, what happens at saturation when you have a never-ending supply of women? Perhaps, like, in our DNA structure, because I think everything's kind of piggybacked and just, it's rough and ready. It's like, however, this is where if you kind of walk the pathway between Darwinism and creationism, and you get to the point where you go, well, yes, there could be a natural selection process that is then because God has left it to whatever. So this isn't against religion, but it's like, we know there's an effect. We know that, whether our consciousness or our biology is going to adapt to for these things, like for sexual reproduction. But it's like, we don't know how it's doing that. And it could be like a simple programming hack of like, make them want to see the thing that they desire the most and then turn into it. But because think about, why do men want to look at women? Because they want to have sex with them, which is what they want to enter women. They want to re-enter women. Well, it doesn't take much to step one step further and go, they want to enter the lives of women. They want to become women. It's just we've never had access to the amount. And this is like things like marriage. Well, marriage has acted as a restriction so that the men aren't entering all the women and then becoming women. We don't know. We don't know. Every child has pretended to be a fucking horse or a bird. And this is just the beginning. So, of course, the most highly stimulative content or figures or, you know, examples are going to be this, and we're still at this argument. It's not going to stop there. It's going to fucking, and also it's not going to be the example of yesterday. It's like, look what we had. Say we take lay girls, right, in Sydney. They did an amazing job. It was an amazing success of this cross-dressing, you know, cabaret experience. And the reason it worked is because they did a good job. They did look like women, but it's like what did they have access to? Like film? They had to go to the movies. They might have magazines. They might have women in the street. It's like now we have the same way as AI can, you know, use research material and study every single thing ever created. It's like, so can every single person. So this is going to, like, what could have taken someone, you know, a long time to heighten and to get enough, you know, material exposure and confidence, because it's freeing up as well as it's becoming more acceptable. People are feeling more acceptable to experiment with these things. This can all happen amazingly quickly in high definition. So it's no different. It's like the trans phenomenon is no different than Tony Hawk doing a 900 on a fucking half pipe. If you take all the other things away. I'm sure that Tony Hawk's fucking mother felt, you know, a little bit ill when she saw her son fucking doing fucking flips at the top of a metal ramp in front of thousands of people. I'm sure Laird Hamilton's fucking, you know, friends and family were shocked when they saw him, you know, being thrust into basically moving mountains of wood. It's all these things are the same. It's just, what's the direction? You know, what's the harm benefit distribution? And these are complicated things. They're complicated, and it's, as I said, it's not the end of the line. So the thing about having a debate against trans people is like, we cannot have a debate about trans people because it is inevitable, and it is not the end of the line. It is the first little fucking wobble at the threshold of fucking absolute insanity in every direction, unpredictably. And it's already out of the bag. You know, I look at people doing like parkour and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? So this is what we are. As far as my biological, environmental kind of research stuff goes, it's like all we need to engineer is retention. So we need to free up the ability to experiment and reinforce retention. And these are like communal, celebratory things. And it's like, see, this, although I kind of like to push out of society, it's like, I'm still doing it here. This is a good thing. This is what I'm indicating what I'm doing. This shouldn't be something that's, you know, hanging over me and looming over me as some type of criminal proceeding. It's like, I am setting the bar for what is going to be expected. If you wish to participate in anything out of the ordinary, you need to indicate exactly what the fuck you're doing. You need to keep a log. It's no different than launching a fucking rocket from suburbia. It's like, this is what you're doing. If you're going to have access to these things, you need, you know, if you're going to experiment with this is what you need to do. And I don't see Sam Altman fucking sitting and looking out his window every morning, considering he's about to fucking give every single child the keys to their very own fucking nuclear fucking substation or nuclear launch fucking missile collection. And why is that? Because it's leaning on the previous iteration. The previous iteration is that control and order and administration and all these things is going to keep a hold on all these complicated things. In this new paradigm, it's completely opposite. It's like you're removing complete control. You cannot have control. So you need to police and adjudicate indicating. The same as if someone moves from the left lane into the right lane. You need to indicate. If you don't indicate in front of a policeman, you're going to get a ticket. This is the same. Right now, we have our government trying to push us into a digital light. It's like you're not just moving from the left lane into the right lane. You're moving into a completely fucking different arrangement. You're putting all the trust in a system that is about to go into absolute random, chaotic fucking distribution of never-ending possibilities. And you're putting, rather than bolstering and reassuring the physical means that we have of retention of citizens and national security, you're handballing it all off into something that you don't even understand. That's more than just moving lanes. And you, as I said, you're not indicating correctly what you're doing. Our government's in the wrong place, doing the wrong things. It's really got to be established what exactly it is expected that our government is supposed to do at a bare minimum. That's the important thing, at a bare minimum. Because until we understand that, until we police that on our own government, then we can't stand our ground on what we expect to be left alone in our own lives. If our government is moving into these experimental, and this is because we have 80 years of this precedent. Before that, it wasn't really the case. You might have the odd eccentric shooting rockets off, and occasionally that would work, occasionally it wouldn't. And basically, it would be the local government that would police this. If you had a crazy, mad scientist inventor, and you think it's like you'd maybe, if once one or two explosions, and you'd push him to the outskirts of town, potentially even out of the country if he was really reckless. But this is now the opposite. We now have government betting on a horse race of fucking mad scientists that are capturing the entire world and at the precipice of fucking inviting us all into the gates of hell, of uncontrollable, a point of no return. So the government is not a government. It's a terrorist organization. It's an organized crime network. It's a evil fucking criminal enterprise. Not just, here. It's stretched out all across the place. And its reasoning is it's protecting its financial accrued interests over a very short amount of time. What am I protecting? I'm protecting humanity. Humanity's acquired interests. It's evolved, adapted strategies. It's, agricultural processes. It's the way that it sustains itself, which has been developed over millions of years. It's a no-brainer. Now, the problem is that because the government's getting so much thing, people imitate the government. So the people in there are just simply imitating the people that came before them, and they're imitating the people that came before them. And they're expecting to be the ones that are in charge of people being able to imitate, superhuman fucking computer systems. They cannot. They don't understand the landscape. They don't understand the conversation. They've been sold on a pamphlet at the fucking Catalina wine mixer. There is simple things that need to be done, but it's more about establishing baselines of humanity. This is like what the Americas did with the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's like that's okay. That's that era. It's like, no, we need like the basic right of being able to assume ownership over a elected, unclaimed piece of land and, gently contribute to the human race by adapting and evolving a simple strategy of harmonic integration with the whole ecosystem, human and non-human and computer and non-computer. It's like that. That's the basics. Yeah, of course, that wasn't what the fucking founding fathers of America said, because that wasn't the situation of the founding fathers. They were smack bang in the middle of an industrial revolution, an industrial warfare revolution, and a conquering, colonizing, expansionary revolution, and a religious everything. So it's like, of course, it's different. You can use it as reference, but you can't use it to stake your whole claim on unless you update it. You don't need. It's like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yeah, life is how do you sustain life on a patch of land? You need that. Liberty, the freedom to live there without being thrown off it and without being threatened. And the pursuit of happiness, well, happiness is integration. If you're forced to live as a non-connected digital extraction node on a matrix system of computerized control, that's not the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of happiness for Sam Altman, perhaps Donald Trump, perhaps Bill Gates, but it's not the pursuit of happiness for you. It's the opposite of that. It's not the pursuit of happiness. It's the enforcement of servitude. See, there's a difference to use imitation as the stepping stones, of inspiration, so that you claim something new. That's one thing. But to simply imitate, well, then you've just got Elvis impersonators. That's kind of what Trump's, and it's okay. He's impersonating the founding fathers. He's not, because and that's what we needed. So don't bag out Trump. It's like, but he can't do it. He's a man in his 80s who's confined to his experience. He cannot. Now, it's the same as I can't. I now can't go, I won't drop into I just won't do it. That's no different. Do you know what I mean? I won't do lots of things, and that's okay. So yeah, just something to think about in this crazy, crazy world that we live in. And another way to sketch out this whole drama. Thank you for listening.